Well, we'd like to call this meeting to order of the Parks Advisory Commission. We'll start with our roll call. To my left,
Linda Coltop.
Kelly Whitaker,
Keith Cecil,
Rhonda Ankney,
Roger Hitz.
and we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
yes.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I motion that we approve the meeting, the minutes of the last meeting.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'm gonna abstain since I wasn't here.
All right. And the budget is the next item we'll take a look at. Is the expense from the engineering folks, is that for Kephart? I'm assuming?
So the Crossroad Engineers are under contract to design the connector trail. So the trail project along Saddle Club Road coming into town here.
Okay,
So they're under contract for that. Lehman and Lehman is under contract to do the impact fee.
Right.
And then they have a subcontractor under them that's doing the master plan. So Austin's contract is under Lehman and Lehman.
that's part of that, okay. Okay. I saw that, I was like, huh. Okay.
Good question.
Yeah, good questions.
I'm gonna question the water bill again. It was around about $92 for, I'm sure that's for October, but has that been shut off and winterized, or who does that?
No, what is his name? Scott Round's company maintains that. Primary grounds.
Primary ends. Okay, that's part of their
So that's part of their,
deal. Hopefully, we don't need it shut off today, but hopefully it's shut off before too long.
Yep.
Going out. That's all I had.
Anybody else? Good question. So the Switzer Playground area, that is our next item of business, and Bethany has.
Yes, I will kind of give you some information about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So I reached out to Jeff Branham.
Yep.
Who is with Game Time. That's their equipment that's there.
Right.
I asked specific questions about whether we would need to excavate or if we could just put mulch on top. And then also if he could give me a pricing for more of the black border that's identical to what we have at Windish, if that would be sufficient enough for the area. His response was sending me a quote to do the work. So,
nice.
like I said, I asked very specific questions and that was the response I got. I did ask again whether it would be necessary to do any excavation or if we could just place more mulch on top, and he said that we would just need to do mulch on top. There would be no excavation needed. So if we wanted to, I thought it would be a nice idea to square up the playground area. So that's the square footage that they came up with that's on there. Brian with the street department has confirmed that his crew would be able to do the work. So I was just providing the information that I was given. If I need to go back to Jeff Branham with our preference on how we would like to go about doing the work. I just need some direction.
What supplies would, I'm sorry, jump in. What supplies would Brian need? I mean, what,
So it would be the border edging,
that's,
is essentially, and then just order more of the mulch and put it out. One question that I did have with that is if you would like a ramp and where that ramp should be placed. Currently, in that drawing that he provided, it's to the little shelter area. However, there is a pole that's on that shelter area that I think might interfere with that ramp location.
And also the picnic tables are right there too.
I mean, the picnic tables can be moved,
Yeah,
so
but
that's
it's-
not an
but
issue,
if
but
that's-
as far as.
But
the
if those were
poles.
being used and people, you
Right.
know,
So whether that be we put a ramp towards the main path area that goes to the other wooden shelter and have the street department put a little bit of an asphalt path to match up with that, or concrete, or whatever material it needs to be, hard surface. So,
now, looks to me like if we put it right here in the northeast corner, you could put it in the, do it and hit the ramp. Or no, that'd be inside though, that won't work.
what are we trying to ramp into? Are we trying to ramp?
well, I think the thought with that is that it's a 12-inch height for that border.
Okay, so you're thinking, this is
So-
thinking going up,
There would be a step up.
okay.
If you don't, I don't know what the requirements are for accessibility.
I don't think the ramp would hurt anything if we did it.
I think ramp would really be needed.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get little kids trying to climb over that and over people.
Do we think that's where people will enter from the most?
Well,
I would think so.
look
I
at
mean,
the,
if you
look at
see
the
it
other
in
parks, that's where they don't climb over that, they enter at the ramp.
By the shelter area?
No, I said at the other park,
Oh,
you know, they use the ramp, they don't climb
Sure.
over, so we just.
I'm just wondering if, what, like, I would think folks would come down the path and enter up there. Is there a reason why we wouldn't do it like,
in that northeast corner.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just wondering why. I mean, maybe there's a reason, I just don't know why we wouldn't do that. Because I would think that's where most folks are gonna come, you know, that would be the direction I think you would head, right?
Yeah, I think that's a logical position for it.
It would kind of make a natural entrance too, if he could just whack off that corner there and, you know what I'm saying, put it. I don't know, and then maybe they could extend, if he's willing to do asphalt, you know, just kind of,
Angle that off in a.
yeah.
Are you talking about where basically the slide ends? Like it were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like you'd run up the slide. If kids would let, then they could start running up the slide even more. It'll give them like a runway.
Head start.
They're doing that anyway.
Why not? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, then you don't have to worry about the post, and I'm not sure. I just wouldn't see a lot of people coming down there to get into the.
To walk through the shelter to the
Yeah.
where the ramp is placed now.
I think we'd just be wasting $1,000 on it. That's an exaggeration. I think some people would do that, but we would probably get more usage out of our ramp putting it closer to the general entrance.
You know, if we put it in the northeast corner, if you put it there, then like, you said, pour a little concrete pad or asphalt pad there to connect to the sidewalk.
Right.
Well,
Most likely if our guys are doing it, it'll be concrete.
yeah.
That
To
works
get-
too.
To get a wheelbarrow full of asphalt.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
Right now.
Well, if he's willing to do that, I think that makes sense. So then, and there, I'm trying to remember now. Where are the swings on this one?
There are.
Okay, right, yeah.
That is the only playground area at Switzer.
Okay, so the only, yeah, that's right, the pitting, mostly on this one's at the end of that slide, you can kind of see where it's darker. Right. That's the only spot.
And I believe, so Brian and I went out and looked at it, and if you put enough mulch to satisfy the need,
Right.
there would still be, I think, about a foot of space between the bottom of the slide and the top of the mulch.
Yeah.
So, and it's a small slide, so you're gonna
Right.
have smaller
Small
kids
kids.
anyway, so I feel like that was sufficient
Yeah.
spacing.
Cool, I like it.
So then, with this game time proposal, we're just looking at the materials instead of the labor part. Okay.
And just the materials for the border,
Mm-hmm.
unless, because the street department would be able to acquire the mulch.
Right.
Well, this bid also includes mulch, so.
That's what I just was saying, that it would just be for the border and the ramp and not include the mulch
Yeah.
for materials.
Well, I mean, that would get us up to the recommendation.
The only thing I don't know at this time is the exact lead time. I think there may have been some notes. What did it say?
It's 12 to 18 weeks.
So yeah, we're looking at
Spring, so
spring,
Easily.
if it gets ordered.
it's probably a good thing anyways. And are they running any, oh, well, this is a live quote, so I was gonna say, if they're running any winter sales since,
Yeah, and we're past their grant period for anything, and I don't know that what we would be needing would fall into that grant. The grant requirements, anyway, I'm not sure.
So the way I'm looking at it, about $4,000 then just for the material. Not including the mulch.
well, do we have a motion to entertain moving forward with streets department or any other discussion on this?
If the street department can do the work, do we need to get other bids on the equipment
I'm not sure who we
or the
would.
materials, I guess, for lack of a better word?
We could. I'm not sure what other manufacturers, and then to make it match what, the other,
Right.
I don't know that really matters, but
No, I'm good with moving forward.
Agreed.
Okay.
do we
Do we
need a motion on this?
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, an official motion,
Yeah.
please.
I move to move forward with the materials as listed and using the street department to do the labor.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the landscaping and maintenance scope of work, that's the next item we've got in our packet. Thanks, Bethany, for making the updates on that. Did everyone have a chance to review that?
Yes.
questions on the revised scope of work? Or would you like to say anything about the revisions?
I think what I had some questions on was how exactly you would like to send the quotes out or send the request for quotes out, whether it be landscaping, then like the lawn maintenance portion of it being the spraying and fertilizing, and then also the mowing aspect of it. Do you want to break that into 3 separate pieces? Because somebody that does some of the landscaping may not want to do the mowing or may not have the ability to do the mowing, but would still like to provide pricing for the landscaping. So I just need some direction on that. And then also whether you felt that monthly visits were appropriate for some of the sites versus bi-weekly visits. I think that goes back to whether you are satisfied with just somebody coming out once a month. What do you want the parks to look like? Do you want them to look immaculate? Are you okay with some weeds here and there? Just some things to think about with what our expectations are versus what's going to happen. So just some things that I think should be thought about and discussed before we actually send out the request for pricing.
And one thing I see in here, you have it now is bi-weekly.
It's twice, yeah,
At some of the facilities,
Some
but not
places.
all.
Oh,
okay.
There were some like at the town hall building where we would like for it to be twice a month, and I believe the Legacy Plaza, I have to look again, but it stayed monthly at some of the other parks.
Well, is there a reason? Okay, that's just based on what we had in the past?
That is correct.
Okay. I see, okay. It's hard to keep up. I'm glad you pointed that out. That doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know what you guys think.
I think given our previous experience and how quickly weeds can overtake things, I think bi-weekly is more appropriate than monthly.
Agree. Agree.
And as far as separating it out, I mean, most landscape companies have the capability of doing all package. I mean, I would prefer to deal with just the one vendor with everything under that service umbrella. Especially if we get to the point, where they have to put their own sign out. I want them to own that work.
Well, that's why I was sort of wondering, which is fine. Here was my thought was, would we get, and by no means am I any whatsoever of an expert on landscaping
I know, me either.
and bed maintenance, but the thought that was running through my head was, would we get someone who's more dedicated? Are there vendors out there, and this is what I don't know, are there vendors out there that wouldn't be interested in doing the lawn mowing and fertilizing, that would be a level up on the bed care and the flowers? For example, like, I don't know, the Cammons or someone like, I don't know who would do that, but someone who, and again, I'm over my skis kind of talking with the landscaping here.
well, I look at it just the opposite.
Okay.
Because I know of 2 mowing lawn care companies in Bargersville that don't do landscaping. They just do mowing and the treatment.
Sure. And we might rule those folks out by adding it all in.
Yeah.
Can we entertain, in the request for proposals, that they could do either or both?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I was
Maybe we can
wondering.
pick
is
what we
if
think
you
is the
wanted to
best.
Say you could provide pricing for any or all of these pieces.
And then, and remind me, so then we put this out and then we should get, what, 5 or 10, I mean, what? I don't know, who put,
I would
who's
hope
putting
for
it
at
out?
least two.
We hope for at least 2.
That would, another concern would be,
Yeah.
is if you've got any, if you have any knowledge of any companies, names of any companies that you would like for me to send the request for pricing to. So, just some things to think about. I'm not gonna send it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna create a cover sheet to go along with the changes that I make as far as making things bi-weekly. So,
I think we can offer for either or. And then any of us that come up with a vendor that we might suggest to Bethany to contact, I think is appropriate.
Yeah.
I could see if, I get both of your concerns about someone who that would maybe handcuffing ourselves if we don't do both, but I like the idea of the both, because I think some companies, it makes it more worth their while, and maybe we will get more bids. And especially if we're doing the bi-weekly, I think it also helps if they're there mowing and,
Right.
it's not something that is not part of their regular route or whatnot, so.
Mhm. But at the same time, I mean, a contract's a contract though, you know what I mean, right?
I agree, but I think if they're here, if they're there more likely, they might see stuff and do something. As we said, owning it and their names on it, and it's a bigger job, we might have more people interested because it's more lucrative if they have both. So I just think we should do the either or of both.
Yeah, 3 options. Sounds good. Okay, well then we all have some homework to do then. Talk to your friends. We'll try to get something back. So we're thinking by the next meeting, we would want to send these out.
yes, for sure.
Because they'll start booking up, right? Yeah.
Yes. If you have any recommendations, I'd prefer to have them before the 31st.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's holidays and everything in between, but that way we can start making a list and getting things sent out in an appropriate amount of time.
I mean, I would pass. Sounds like I would think we just send it out, and if there's anybody else we come up with, then we can send it out to them, depending upon whether or not, we've already got folks back. So then in January, because we would need to review these at our January meeting.
I'm not sure that we would have responses by the January meeting.
Yeah.
I would say that it would probably be more likely that we would be able to review at the February meeting and potentially make a decision at that time. If I have a deadline, of even February 1st or the end of the first week of February, that would still give you a couple of weeks to review what has been collected. And if you have any questions, maybe we could reach out to them if there are any specific questions that you would like answered before the meeting and hopefully get a response. So then by the time the meeting rolls around in February, you might be able to go ahead and select one.
Right.
Does that sound fair?
That's fair.
All right, we'll see what we can come up with, but yes, otherwise I would empower you to.
Okay.
Okay. Looks like the park impact fee study and master plan update is next. Julie, would you like to update us on progress? Had the survey out for a little while now, right?
Yeah, I didn't get an update today.
Oh, right, okay.
Last week, we were at 425 survey responses, so it'll be open for one more day. So any last minute takers on the survey. But the impact fee study was adopted by the council last week, so that fee will go into effect 6 months. So that piece is complete. Those of you that are on the master plan committee should have received a link to schedule meeting times. We'd like to have the committee meet in January and February, so you should have received a doodle poll to let us know your availability. I see you're shaking your head yes. Hopefully there's a couple times we can get together and go over all this data. The survey responses, the focus groups, the surveys we received at the farmer's market, and kind of start putting together a plan of action for parks. So where we stand on those two items.
I don't know if this is helpful, but I completed that of how I could be available in person.
Okay.
So if it ends up being where it's like, we can't get us together enough and we go to a virtual, I'd probably have more flexibility to be able to join.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I know. I have the same challenge.
Yes. So that, I'm just putting it out there. So if we have challenges and we want to do it that way, I think my responses, I would have more available.
I will make a note of that because I'm
Working on it.
thank you.
Good.
I'm not sure if everyone's responded yet to see how we look on getting everyone.
I don't know if I did it right. I didn't go on any link. I just replied back that I was going to be on it. I'll check it and see.
Yeah, so there's a link and there's, I don't know, probably 20 different meeting times that are available.
I missed
So yeah,
that one.
and you just select all the ones that work for your calendar.
Now, when you open that link, Roger, it'll give you places where you can click boxes and you can say you're available or not.
Okay. I didn't remember seeing the link.
That's all right.
That's okay. It's a little confusing sometimes.
I've got a smartphone, but I'm not a smartphone.
Any other questions on those items?
It's exciting,
Yeah. Moving forward.
moving forward. Thanks for the update.
Yes, sir.
All right, and moving into, actually, did anybody have anything with the parks this week? I know we had some different items that were on the inspection, the maintenance checklist.
The only thing that at Windish, on the far side, there's that barrel slide that comes down and the water has ponded in it. And with the temperatures getting down, it's gonna freeze in there. I don't know if they can drill some holes in the bottom so that drill, drains out.
I wonder what would cause that. I mean, has it been an ongoing issue?
I've never noticed it. Was it, I was gonna say,
It was right after it was first installed, something was said to Jeff, and he said something about putting holes in it, but they never did.
that, there was a good amount of water in it that, if it freezes or something, I don't know if it damaged
And
anything.
the excitement of the slide.
Yes.
2 days ago, and there wasn't water in it, there was ice in it.
Oh,
Was there? Well, when we were there yesterday, it was
Yeah.
water again, but it could freeze today.
Nice.
And then just the trash that was out around Kip Park again. I don't know if they ever cleaned it up from you noticed it
I
the
did
first time.
notice it looked like it had been slightly cleaned the last time. I don't know if you guys reached out to them.
I reached out to our planning department to see if they could contact the developers about picking up some of the trash, making sure the contractors were taking care of that.
Yeah, because I looked tonight on my way and it's still an issue.
Yeah.
I went through there at 1 o'clock today, and
Yeah.
It may not be something that's addressed immediately because the email was just sent today, so.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I didn't know when
I
that
would-
had been sent.
no, I just got that.
Oh, this one, okay.
Yeah,
Rhonda had mentioned it the last meeting, I
Oh,
think, or
okay.
sent us an email
Yeah,
or
on
something.
one of my inspections.
Yeah.
It's just a bad reflection on the park and the town to leave an empty lot and then leave it trashed. I know, I'd like to see it, at least on the outside edges. I know there's stuff on back, but along the outside edges, if we can get that cleaned up. And
Yeah.
maybe we want to add that to our inspection, just to kind of stay on top of it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from the parks? Let's move to the brick paver sales. So now we have a new name for the park with a beautiful new sign,
New sign, it's
And-
official.
and now the word is out. So when we first kind of started this, we had a plan that was, I think, you and, I can't remember the gal, what was her name? And you guys got together. Kathy Sanders talked about how we can get some brick sales going, and that's how this all, and we didn't just arbitrarily decide to rename the park.
Right.
And that's what
Involved in
started this.
conversation.
How do we get more brick sales? So now that we have that checked off, how do we get the brick sales
I think probably our next step would be to update our website, because Founder's Fountain is still referenced on a lot of the information in there.
Right.
So we need to get our website updated with the new park name. And then, I looked at the order form, and aside from the Founder's Fountain, I think it's still usable. It's not ideal, as far as the order form that's online. Although I think it probably needs some updating too, because I believe the 3x3 pavers were no longer being offered. So Bethany, is that something that we need to request through you, or do you want me to draft a new order form, or how should we proceed with that?
Can you work on a new order form? You and Kathy?
On the website a little
We
bit,
looked at
yeah.
the website and on.
Oh, okay.
And on the website, that information, so to check that box off, we did meet with Julie, and that information was passed along. Is that right, Julie, on the website to?
that is correct.
Yep.
That information did get passed along. It's to someone that has a lot of other responsibilities as well, and she's getting to it as soon as she can.
Right.
So that information has been passed along. We'll follow back up with that and make sure that gets updated quickly.
Okay, and I think once that order form is updated, then, I don't know if we need to, do a yard sign out there offering pavers for sale. I know that when the farmer's market fires up again, we can make a presence there and make people aware of it. I even thought about, one of those little temporary signs putting in, just letting people know that they can order pavers and include the website or contact information there if they want to.
Perhaps putting a notation on the utility bills, or maybe an extra insert into the utility bill.
Another thing would be have Laura Kennedy put it on the Facebook site. I don't know how many people are hooked up on Martinsville on Facebook, but
That's what I was thinking, is that seems to me that, an electronic push might be something to think about if, and Chris, hey, got an idea for Chris? So, I just wonder if we had can you order electronically? I have no idea. Is there an electronic order form, or you gotta print off the order form and?
So I just asked my counterpart. I think that we probably have a platform that we could collect payment electronically. I don't know which one that is. I'll just be I'll just be honest
Yep.
with you on that one. But, you know, we're collecting utility payments, we're collecting payments for permits. Which seemed to me that we could do that. I just don't know the mechanics and the setup for how to make that happen.
Yeah.
Of my technology skills.
Mine too.
Well, I think whatever we do, it's almost, if we want to be successful, we've got to figure out a way to be able
Yep.
to do that. Because people, just this day and age, a lot of people don't print things off and they don't send checks and they don't do those kinds of things. So if we were able to do that, have electronic submission, if we could do a QR code on a sign out front, I think that is going to help facilitate. I think it's important to have both. And if people can print off and write a check, that's nice too. But I think that a lot of younger people especially, and I think I can say that because I'm getting older too, but it's here and now, right? And if you don't do it here and now, you're not doing it later. So I think that would help our sales if we want to be successful, making sure we can do
And
something like that.
also along with that line, I think it would also help be a little bit more clear as to what they want on the pavers. We actually got one this past week, and I'm gonna call the person back because I want to make sure I have it correct, like because they printed it out, but I want to make sure it's spelled correctly.
Right,
So if they type it in, I mean,
it's clear. Yeah.
it's kind of hard to,
And if we do stick with a paper form, since it is limited, I think to 18 characters per line,
something like that, yeah.
you know, we've all filled out those forms where you had to write one letter in each box, and that might be helpful too, to kind of force that more legible writing in those.
Yeah, I think, and looping it in with whatever, that's a great point about, utilizing the utility company, I thought was a great point.
I mean, they've got that little section down there where they tell you that they're gonna,
Pick
they got the lambs and that kind of stuff. We could maybe use that.
Yeah.
For an insert.
So kind of doing those type of things could be real nice to let people participate, because I think it's, that's the whole thing, right? You be a part of the community and you can do that.
And I think we can do all those things. It can go in that, if you're doing it on social media and you have an electronic form, it's just click, 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 and you're rolling. I think to be successful, we need to try to do all of those different things.
Okay, so we've got a lot of ideas here. How do we?
And
how do we-
definitely
Yeah,
doing it when the farmer's market, because that's when people start to get excited. It gets warm and they're here and they're engaging with the farmer's market, so they're ready to engage with different things, I think.
so do we need to circle? I think the last time we had a little subcommittee, right, with these. Do we need an action-oriented group to put this stuff, put a plan together to get this going is my question. I don't know. Can we do that here, or do we need, what do we think? I don't know. We could look at circling back to this in the spring. I mean, there's certainly some things I think we can do now. Obviously, working on the electronic form is probably, sounds like our top priority, and figure out the pay system. And then after that, however else we want to get that digital and or, other information out to the various constituents seems like a good course of action there. So maybe we circle back to this conversation in a month or two, depending on how long it takes to get the electronic thing figured out and see if we need to get some suggestions together about, okay, how often does it go out on Facebook? Who's putting it on Facebook? Who's going to, some logistical, coordinated efforts there on how to get the word out. Okay, well, we'll do that then. So we'll start with the payment and then, right?
Page and payment.
Okay, all right. Anything else anybody has for that item? Dixie Plaza or anything else? Other discussion items?
I got two questions for Julie. Park Plaza, is that gonna be part of the parks?
I believe so, once it's finished, yes.
You know, is money gonna, I know the money come out of the parks or the
For the per-
impact fee to buy the ground now.
I believe, the money to develop it will not come out of the parks funds.
Okay.
At this time, that's not the plan.
I'm gonna say, do any of the rest of you know what Park Plaza is?
No.
Okay.
Is that the one that's gonna go over here?
And the other question is, the bids have been sent out, bid packets been sent out for Kip Park?
No, Kephart has, the plan for Kephart has changed, to include a lot more activity. I see Rhonda smiling there. Is that an understatement?
No, that's pretty much on mark.
So, we are looking to include a lot more elements in this phase. So, we've had a small group meeting monthly and, just met last week. Bethany, I know you just sent out notes on when we were planning on doing bids.
Potentially send out for bids in April with the goal to still start construction in early summer.
Was it 2023 completion now?
I don't know that there's a completion timeline just yet. It's kind of dependent on all of the different components that are going into it.
And it is still in phases, so there's anticipation of sooner rather than later.
Since we're on Kip Park, the pickleball courts that are gonna be put in, how many courts are they putting in?
The plans I saw last week had 8.
Okay.
Is that satisfactory?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, but I'm not sure about the pickleball players. They're kind of picky.
Yeah, so, like I said, we don't have like final construction plans. We're still kind of in the, okay, if we do pickleball courts here and a playground here, how big does that playground,
Because we have 6 courts at the gym and
and they're busy.
they only play 2 days a week, but we've got people that are saying they're looking for other places to play because there's so many people that they have to wait. They're waiting to play longer than what they actually get to play. So even though they rotate, around,
Mhm.
so that, it's coming to be quite the sport. And someone asked me the other day up there at the gym, well, how many are they gonna put in? I don't know, so now I can tell.
As of right now, that's.
Yes,
Yeah, you can tell them you still don't know.
maybe 8.
There you go.
Until the official plans have
Yeah.
been created.
That's where we are now.
Okay,
Anything else? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
make a motion to
Actually,
be
one,
adjourned.
I have one.
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
I would just like to say thank you to Linda for her service. As you may or may not know, this is her final meeting.
Appreciate it.
So thank you for your service on the Parks Board and other boards throughout.
I've enjoyed it and I wish I could stay on, but circumstances, I'm gonna be rather involved in something else right now, so I
Understand.
can donate as much time as what I've had, so
We appreciate it.
thank you.
All right. With that,
I make a
good
motion that we
news.
adjourn.
Yes, I was
And I'm done.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned.